Antonio, we made it to another week, and it's sunny, it's warm, it's beautiful outside, but the effects of last week will be felt for weeks to come.
That's why we have complete team coverage of the aftermath of last week's snowstorm.
We are asking your questions to SAWS and CPS Energy officials to get you answers about why so many were without power and water for so long last week, and some still are. But let's begin with some breaking news tonight. We have this letter coming into our newsroom just a few hours ago, less than an hour ago, I should say. Texas mayors coming together to send a letter to the Electric Reliability Council of Texas's president and CEO, Bill Magnus. San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg signing this letter, and in it, they say communities were made vulnerable by ERCOT's leadership decisions, saying the policies did not seem to take into consideration exposure to sustained freezing temperatures. The letter goes on to say, quote, "We urge state leaders to thoroughly examine the policies and decisions that left our cities and the entire state vulnerable during this week's extreme weather event. ERCOT's processes and protocols need a full public airing, as well as action from the state leadership that will prevent this type of disaster." They go on to say our residents deserve answers, and they deserve reliable energy for their homes and their businesses. We have the entire letter up for you to read right now on our website, news4sa.com.
Meanwhile, leaders with CPS Energy say today that all the customers have had their power restored.
But many of you are wondering, what impact will last week's storm have on your electric bill? News 4 San Antonio's Zack Hedrick joins us live outside CPS Energy headquarters tonight with some answers for you. Zack?
Well, Delaine, it was a message stressed over and over again today. No extra costs will go on your bill at this time, but it could take a while before CPS actually has an exact price tag for all of this.
We won't be issuing those types of bills to shock everyone and put them through another level of crisis.
You can breathe a sigh of relief for now. CPS Energy's president and CEO, Paula Gold-Williams, says the company is absorbing the additional costs to get through last week's winter weather.
We will not be putting these extra costs on San Antonio customers' bills at this time.
Gold-Williams says those extra costs are coming from the purchase of natural gas. She says the price for the fuel shot up by as much as 16,000%.
And if we didn't buy it, we wouldn't have had enough fuel to operate the plants. Then we wouldn't have been able to provide any energy at all.
Customers are worried that purchase will eventually end up on their electric bill. Gold-Williams says operators across the state are trying to determine the final cost.
Usually it takes you a minimum of 30 days to have a clear picture of what's happened.
What do you tell them in the meantime while you wait to figure out that price tag?
We're just asking our customers to be a bit patient more while we try to do the best we can to again, use all the tools in our toolbox financially to figure out how to move forward.
Now, once that cost does get figured out, Gold-Williams emphasized one possibility is spreading it out over the course of several years. Now, this was one of two virtual meetings for CPS Energy today. For more on the second one, I'll send it back to you, Randy.
All right, thanks, Zach. And San Antonians who were left shivering in their homes last week are getting their first chance today to vent their anger directly to CPS Energy trustees. But as our troubleshooter Jaie Avila continues our team coverage tonight, they had to do that by teleconference because of the COVID precautions right now. Jay?
Randy, 108 people pre-registered to make public comment at today's CPS Energy board meeting, but the complicated teleconference system prevented some from speaking when their names were called. Those who could comment were emotional and angry.
I was freezing in the night. My neighbors were freezing. We didn't have power back until days later. That is not transparency. We felt lied to.
Okay, so let me give you an update.
Video conferencing has become the norm for most governmental bodies during the pandemic. However, the CPS Energy board meetings have audio only. Mayor Ron Nirenberg and the other 4 trustees who are unelected didn't need to see the faces of the commenters. The outrage came through in their voices.
The events of last week was a travesty. It was outrageous at the fact that there was no effort to communicate with the residents of the city, and no effort to restore power in a timely manner.
Those who managed to dial in successfully recounted their harrowing experiences during the blackout and their anger about any plans to charge customers for increased energy costs, even if it's done over 10 years.
The trust has been eroded between CPS and most of all of your customers. The devastation came from ignoring years of data, not to winterize your power plants properly.
The public comments have now ended. CPS Energy CEO Paula Gold-Williams gave her briefing to the board. She says CPS did improve winterization after the 2011 winter storm, mostly insulating above ground pipes. But obviously, she says that wasn't enough and they have to do more. Delaine?
All right, Jay, thank you. We have another developing story we're following for you tonight. The boil water notice. Parts of our city are still under. And this is a look at the map from SAWS. You can see some of the north, northeast, and northwest sides are still under a boil notice, as well as the west side. We continue to work very hard for you to get you answers and hold the leaders of our utility companies accountable for what happened last week during the winter freeze. News 4 San Antonio's Joe Galli joins us live outside SAWS headquarters after an exclusive one-on-one interview with the SAWS CEO, Robert Puente. Joe?
Well, Delaine, my Zoom interview with Robert Puente ended just about 30 minutes ago. We heard from so many of you that reached out to our station with serious questions about your water, so we wanted to take those questions directly to the man in charge. Let's start with some good news. According to Puente, all of San Antonio should have access to water from the SAWS water lines. Now, there are folks living at higher elevations where water pressure might continue to be low for a day or two. And as Delaine, as you mentioned, there are certain people that are still under a boil advisory until at least tomorrow. Now, the major problem is pipe breaks. Today, SAWS launched a new community pipe repair or CPR fund where you can get reimbursed for repairs to your pipes. I asked him when you would be able to apply for that.
Probably by early the end of the week, Thursday, Friday. And the reason for that is because obviously we want to make sure that we get as many people qualified as possible. We've been concentrating right now on getting individuals interested in donating money. It's as I mentioned, the San Antonio Spurs and Wells Fargo started that off, and we're very excited about this, about what's going on. And so please continue to look at the website.
And of course, we'll have links on our website as well. Our station has heard from you. So many of you believe that SAWS and other utilities dropped the ball during the winter freeze. So asked Puente for his response to people who feel that way.
They're rightly frustrated. They have a right to be upset. And we are just doing everything we can on the monetary side regarding their bills and also into the future to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
So what's the plan? What's going to be done to make sure the water will continue to run even if we have another major winter freeze? I'll have more details on that as with more parts of my exclusive one-on-one interview coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. Randy?
All right, thanks, Joe. I want to go to Washington, D.C. now. We have hit a milestone. President Biden today honoring the 500,000 Americans who've